Welcome to Design Talks Now, where we share what matters most. Hosted by Design Pavilion to help keep us connected while we navigate these times of challenge. I'm Eileen Shaw, producer of Design Pavilion and Design Talks. Our goal has always simply been to share with the world and increase awareness of great design. The lines between digital and physical experiences are blurring. More and more digital is happening at an architectural scale. With COVID-19 leaving a lasting impact on every facet of design, the wellness industry is ready for such innovation and thinking. Today, Noah Waxman and Lucas Werthein of the design studio Cactus explore how the wellness industry can evolve into the future through personalized guest experiences built around health data. Cactus is a multidisciplinary design firm rooted in three core disciplines: brand strategy, digital technology, and architecture. Noah Waxman is a creative and strategic leader with 15 years of experience in brand strategy, innovation consulting, and entrepreneurship. Prior to founding Cactus, Noah was strategy director at Red Scout, where he helped C-suite clients tackle their innovation and brand challenges, including Miller Coors, Casper, Mercer, Samsung, Mount Sinai, and Nestle. Lucas Wertheim is the head of technology and production at Cactus. He specializes in identifying efficiencies and resources and has directed technology-oriented projects for clients such as Beyoncé, Samsung, Apple, Ai Weiwei and Olafur Eliasson, MIT Media Lab, MTV, Intel, Coca-Cola, and more. Lucas has worked at the Victoria and Albert Museum in London and taught at Parsons School of Design's Design and Technology MFA. So, what is the future of wellness? Let's find out now, and let's begin.
Thank you, Eileen. We are so delighted to be joining you here for this virtual design talk. My name is Noah Waxman. Lucas Werthein, my co-founder, is here, and we're the founders of Cactus, along with our third partner, Marcelo Pontes. We started Cactus as a new type of design studio that blends the three disciplines that each of us come from. Marcelo, our partner who's not here, is an architect. He practiced for many years before we started the firm in a traditional architecture role, designing built worlds of all types. Lucas is a software engineer and a hardware engineer who's worked on all sorts of digital products and services in his past. And my background was in brand strategy and product strategy and innovation. And basically the three of us started this firm, Cactus, in the hopes to break down the walls between those siloed areas of design. We wanted to build a company that could work equally well in digital space and physical space. And the reason that we felt this was so important now is I think all of us are seeing in our lives today that more of the built environment and more of the experience of the built environment includes a digital layer, whether that's augmented reality or just taking a picture of yourself in a beautiful museum or using your app to navigate through city streets. There's always a digital layer at play. And conversely, there's also a huge amount of input from the physical world, sensors of all types that are feeding the digital experiences that we all enjoy and informing the digital experiences that we all enjoy. So there's that convergence. Physical worlds and digital worlds are becoming one. And we wanted to launch the first design studio to really work specifically at that intersection. And that's why we started Cactus. The first thing I think that's most interesting to us as designers is the stark reality that really for an entire generation, for our entire lifetimes, healthcare user experience or patient experience has stagnated. It actually has not changed. There's very little that's different about the way that I go to the doctor versus the way my parents went to the doctor when they were my age. And that's pretty unique especially in American economy. There aren't that many other sectors that are like that. Healthcare is behind. It's way behind many of the industries that we've seen Silicon Valley disrupt. And there's a lot of really interesting reasons for that. The main issue that we see as designers is the gap between what patients expect from their experiences in healthcare and where they actually are is huge. It's actually the second largest of any American industry, next to only airlines. And I don't know how that's changed in COVID. It's probably the highest now. 81% of patients surveyed in 2019 reported that they were dissatisfied with their healthcare experience on one level or another. And in general, what we see is the environments and the experiences of healthcare are so different from otherwise similar experience type. So for example, in retail, there's design that causes you to move, to browse, to get inspired, to learn, to compare, to have all of these wonderful things happen and be available to you that make you want to engage with the physical world and the digital world. And in healthcare, it's almost the opposite. You're caused to sit, to wait, to, be in environments where you're confined. They're generally sterile. They're generally stylistically cold and uninspired. The experience can be scary. And obviously that has to do with the category to some extent, but also frankly with the way the user experience is designed. And often as a patient, you feel very uninformed and not empowered to take control of the situation. And as designers, all of those feel like really big problems to us. That's very inspiring. It's the reason that we love this work, because fixing all of those problems is both intellectually stimulating for us and also something that we feel like, altruistically speaking, is important for the world to handle, especially right now in the context of COVID and all the other aspects of the healthcare system that the COVID crisis has brought to light. So one thing that ties into this is that other industries that have gone digital, for example, ride sharing for transportation, digital wallets for payments, pharmacy deliveries for pharmacy, Amazon for just about everything having to do with retail, Netflix for entertainment. These industries have changed the way that guests experience the services that were traditionally delivered. In healthcare, that's not really true. Perhaps you're using a digital layer like Google or some other search service to find a doctor, but generally speaking, the referral system, the payment system, the information gathering systems, they're all completely the same. And even if you have an app that's helping you through the process, often the app doesn't really connect to enough of the touch points to make it feel like you're really in control. So in addition to innovation stagnating, there's also this almost compounding factor where the expectations of the people who are going to see the doctor and getting this healthcare, the expectations are way higher because their car works better and their bank works better and their restaurant works better. Everything works so much better in modern life. The doctor's office feels especially old. And this is something that we think is extra interesting, right? There's a moment in time, really 2020 is just the beginning of this. In particular, your personal biodata, my personal biodata, everyone's data is proliferating. There's lots and lots of new types of data collectors. People think of wearables. We can all think of the sensors that might be included in your car, that might be included in the rooms that you occupy, in the speakers that you buy that might be listening, and also the types of equipment that doctors' offices can have built within them. There's just a huge amount of data that's being created about us. And it's not like our bio data is something new. There's been data being collected about us as patients all throughout, the last many, many decades. But the people who are collecting that data and the reasons that data is collected usually was for commercial interest. So the insurance company collected specific information about you. The doctor might collect different information for their billing requirements and also tracking your health over time. But very rarely were the patient's needs front and center in a way that caused that data to be given back to you as a patient. That's actually changing now. And there's a lot more ability, especially because of the way the price structure and these sensors becoming more readily available. Now there's an opportunity to design experiences and design products that give the data back to the patients. And that's something that is really the core of what Cactus as a firm is trying to practice today. We want to design and build the best products and services that live within the health system that allow you as a patient to not just have access to your data, but get all of the context and necessary surrounding information and support to use that data to your own benefit, to take care of yourself, to feel empowered, to know how to make choices. And that's really incredible. For the first time, the value of designers has really started to come to the fore within the healthcare industry. There are a number of startups that have really started to show that better designed environments, physical spaces and digital spaces, really benefit the consumer, the patient in this case, and that patients are willing to pay more for that, or patients are willing to choose those providers that focus on design more. And that's actually just beginning now. It's really the very beginning of a big wave that we see coming, where the user experience for patients is going to be one of the defining factors and key competitive advantages of healthcare companies and healthcare service providers. There's this moment that's really, really exciting happening right now, where for the first time, designers both have the ability, literally the raw material of your biodata, all of our biodata, available to them. And this moment where, because of the changes in cost and because of the changes in the value of design from larger corporations, designers are finally being asked to design the experiences that we all wish we had in healthcare. And it's sort of guiding all of our work going forward.
There is existing components that are digital nowadays in medical practices. They're completely disjointed from the experience that you should be having, that you're accustomed to, right? Noah spoke very well about the effect of the consumer, the customer, being used to just another level of experience through other industries, right? I honestly call that the iPad effect. Apple has done so well and has developed the iPad so well, for example, that any other single tablet that you decide to use as a consumer is inferior. And so it doesn't mean that it doesn't work, but it's just not as good, and that's what's happening with healthcare. To the question of you arriving at your doctor and you filling something out with, it doesn't matter if it's a pen or paper or on their tablet with some usually janky design questionnaire that doesn't really fit onto the screen, that you have to scroll too much to get somewhere. The font is a little bit too small, and the nurse practitioner usually tells you that you don't have to fill in a bunch of things and others you do, and it's kind of confusing. That really doesn't make sense, again, to what other industries have done, which is simplify our lives and made these things more efficient. There is no reason why you should be doing this at the doctor. There's already HIPAA compliance ways to do this, and you could completely do this on your phone, but it takes quite a bit of work, and it takes quite a bit of work to penetrate within all the doctor's offices and this entire industry. I actually remember listening to ZocDoc's stories and the fact that they actually had to go into doctors' offices and install Wi-Fi routers in doctors' offices to get their services up, and how hard it was to actually put technology into doctors' offices, because there's a true barrier to sort of getting this industry up to speed. But in terms of logistics and design, there is no reason why you shouldn't be doing this on your phone. There is a major player that will eventually come in and dominate this entire market.
Since we started this company, I would say that there has been a continual progression away from more traditional forms of marketing, retail, pop-ups, and entertainment business, and more towards health, wellness, spas, gyms, projects where there is some element of collection of data, whether it's movement data or your bio data, and then giving it back to the users. And that progression away from entertainment and towards healthcare is one that we really didn't script. I mean, this company was started with the intention of really focusing on retail and entertainment environments. What changed is that we got involved with a few really visionary clients in the healthcare industry, and we started designing entertainment, I'm saying that with full air quotes here, entertainment experiences for the healthcare field. We encountered these clinics, these projects, that user experience was a big part of it. They needed to attract people to come in to the clinics and want to learn in the same way that you go to a museum to both take in some piece of history or culture, but also to expand your horizons, to expand your mind. There was a vision in our early healthcare projects that element of patient education could be as fun and as interesting as going to a museum. And once we did that a couple times, it really took off, and clients started to find us and reach out with these other interesting questions, which then builds momentum because we get more interested, we get more hungry for this type of work. And we also do our own internal research at Cactus to kind of shore up our abilities to work in the healthcare field. People want to feel intrigued, interested, inspired, and motivated, whether they're in the gym or in the hospital or in the art museum or in the retail store. You know, it's actually the same things that you want. They're the things that make us human, the things that make us energetic and excited to live. So that's really what we focus on in healthcare. And I think that's gone a long way with our clients and helped us build a reputation in this field.
We all have heard the wellness word a million times, and the boundaries are completely fading. I think everyone wants to be a wellness center, regardless if you're a gym, you're a spa, you're a dermatology clinic, or you're a hospital. There's already a blend between several fields in which you don't want to be known only for treating the sick, right? It's all about recovery. It's about performance. It's about pursuing specific goals. And so really in any of these things that we're talking about, regardless if it's in a spa to relax and recover, or in a gym to really perform and really excel, or in a hospital to get treated and again to recover. So I think those boundaries are disappearing.
Because I think that a lot of players, not just in health and wellness, but in the hospitality industry, in the travel industry, in entertainment industry, people realize across these fields that people are not interested in going to one type of place to get one specific type of treatment when there are multiple types of treatment that might treat that case. So for example, let's say you go to the doctor and you have back pain. If you have back pain and one type of doctor finds that out, they might prescribe a very specific type of medicine for you. Another doctor might prescribe a type of physical therapy. Another doctor might say, hey, look, I think it's okay. Why don't you go try a chiropractor for this? And yet another type of doctor would say, it's interesting to consider yoga or Reiki or energy healing or acupuncture for this type of pain that you're feeling. In an ideal world, as patients, any of us would prefer to have the type of service provider or type of relationship with a provider where you can be presented with an array of options and actually try them out, see which ones work. And especially if you can introduce data collection into that experience, where I can tell that after I do yoga, I'm X% better. And I can tell that after I go to the chiropractor, I'm Y% better. Then compare that to what drugs or even one-day surgery might offer you. That's really powerful as a future state where people get to make not just decisions, but it's a little bit more of sort of trying on different shoes until one fits, so to speak. And we think that that's really powerful. Obviously, that's way closer in the fitness and wellness industries, traditionally, wellness industries, than in medical industries right now. But I believe that in time that will change too. This project we did for Mount Sinai Hospital, it's a project called Lab 100. In this project, the team at Mount Sinai was a group of bioinformaticians. These are doctors who are researchers that collect data about all of us, about populations of people, in an effort to use machine learning and computer algorithms to try to find patterns in the data. So they were really interested in collecting information about a large swath of people. When they came to us, they had a space in the hospital. It looks like, a slightly underused space in just about any hospital. And in this space, they had a whole host of different equipment that they had assembled there. Pieces of equipment that would study your strength, your balance, your mind, draw blood and test your blood levels, testing your vocabulary, your cognition, your dexterity with your hands. And basically, they had this idea of sort of the most perfect data set that they could collect about people to use for medical research. At the same time, they really wanted to try to innovate on the patient experience. So we set out with them on a design project that started to envision what Lab 100 would be. This started off with some basic brand work, laying the foundation, figuring out what we wanted to be, what we wanted to mean to people. We named the space, we designed this physical environment that's meant to inspire you. It's really clear, certainly when you arrive as a patient in the physical space, that you're no longer in the traditional Mount Sinai hospital. You're in a space that's a little bit futuristic. It's meant to look that way. It's meant to kind of shake you out of your normal day-to-day. And it's highly precise. It's a space that's really inspired by precision. So there's this custom floor that we created that's a fractal pattern. There's a really innovative use of PVC material for the wall boards that we cut with a computer-controlled router. There's a really precise set of windows that are arranged in a way that directs the sunlight into these fragments. The really important part about Lab 100 is the technology. It's there. There are screens on the wall, and there are obviously a lot of medical devices connected to those screens. But what happens when you arrive is extremely personal. The technology is there to make you feel that sense of precision and technological advancement. But actually, the way that we've designed the experience to be, the doctor is controlling all of the tech through a handheld tablet that they hold. And it's an incredibly simple interface. They don't actually spend very much time at all looking at any of these screens. They're meant to look at you, to connect with you as a patient. And this basic design principle, this notion of like getting the doctor's eyes off of her computer and onto the patient, was a really key design principle that we stuck with from day one. If you interview any doctors in the field, one of the main things that they're going to tell you is that they hate how much time they have to spend looking at their screen instead of at the patient and connecting and talking with the patient. So it's a very, very personal experience in this really inspirational environment with this really powerful technology. And essentially, as you go through a visit, a traditional doctor's visit at Lab 100, you're going through literally dozens of tests with the doctor. Whereas in a traditional doctor's office, you might go in, get your blood drawn, and then a week or so later, you receive a cryptic email or a paper mailing of a printout of these different levels in your blood and not really knowing what they mean. At Lab 100, for example, while your blood is drawn, you get to watch a piece of content, animated content that we created about human blood. What's in human blood? Why is it interesting? Why is it important for your health? There's even a little bit of the history of phlebotomy that you can learn about when humans started studying blood. By the time you finish watching that, the blood has been drawn, it's been put into the centrifuge, and as you finish your experience, you get all of your readings in your blood draw presented back to you in real time, along with the statistical curve of other people who are demographically like you. So we have this entire statistical database that we've built. That way you can know when you get your results from any of these tests back, not just what the CDC says is healthy and unhealthy, but actually what the population of people who are similar to you actually look like in their scores. And this just really helps contextualize what you should and shouldn't care about, what is and is not important to the doctors. And you have this doctor there with you who is really well trained to have a conversation with you about all of that information. The experience of this is, again, something more akin in my mind to going to a really good history museum where you leave knowing something that you didn't know before. But in this case, it's literally about your body in this very moment in time. And that type of testing, when you expand it to all the multiple tests, becomes really powerful because your data might actually change from one day to the next, depending on how you slept or what you ate or whether you exercised. It also might be able to predict early onset of certain medical conditions. And you come to learn that as you're doing the test. It makes you want to learn more in the future. It makes you want to come back. It makes you want to get more engaged with your own health. One of the things that we talk about when we talk about Lab 100 is this analogy of contemporary cars, right? Contemporary cars have all of these sensors that tell you just about anything that might go wrong before they happen. Modern cars are going to tell you about the oil, the fuel, the air, all the different fluids, and your bodies have data that they can produce similar to sort of give off early warnings using technology. And really the idea of Lab 100 and a bunch of these other projects we're working on is harvesting that data from you in a way that is easy and giving it back to you in a way that you can use and with context that makes it easy to understand and use.
One of the important things to contextualize this is that this clinic, this medical clinic, is not a primary care clinic. It's not a clinic where you're going to go in to get treated because you're sick. This is a clinic that was designed for preventive health. And so the whole objective of this clinic is to potentially change the behaviors that populations have, really to save millions and billions of dollars that are spent treating sickness. It's not enough to tell people that you need to stop smoking, you need to lose weight, you need to stop eating Big Macs and stop drinking soda, sugary drinks. So the whole objective was to generate data in real time and to really be able to show the evidence of what your body is presenting to incentivize change. And I think that's especially important in this moment of COVID, where so many people that are dying because of the status of comorbidity, and especially the amount of comorbidity that exists in a country like the United States, whether it's diabetes, whether it's obesity and the other things and diseases that come along. The objective of this clinic was really to incentivize preventive health. And in a moment like this, nothing more important, again, than to create spaces that can inform you of how your body is doing, of the data that your body is producing, and how to motivate change. When we design this space, we design it in a certain way so that it could evoke confidence and comfort for the user. When you look at it, it can look really futuristic and somewhat cold in a certain sense, because we were trying to create a transition between the library where this was actually put and the moment you walked into this space. We picked specific wooden furniture so that it would actually balance the whiteness of the space. We picked felt furniture so that it would evoke the warmness of the space. While every single screen isn't being used, it's actually on a somewhat of a screensaver where it's a gradient, really highlighting color and warmth. In addition to that, we actually calculated the position of the sun during every time of the year so that the sun would come in through those windows and it would actually slice the room according to the geometry and the precision of the space. And so that was something really important when designing the space, so that it would feel futuristic because of what it's trying to evoke and highlight, but with these touches of really making it personalized so that you feel safe, you feel confident, and you feel like you want to change.
When the clients from Mount Sinai found Cactus, they reached out to us to do a user journey design project. They had equipment that they wanted to use to collect specific types of data about lots of different people. And what they wanted from us was a user journey map, beginning and then stage by stage, middle and then end of what it would be like to be a patient interacting with these things. And we did that work. And in the process of doing that work, as we always do, a lot of really interesting questions come up that get into the future of healthcare, that get into privacy, that get into the importance of high quality biodata and sharing that back with patients to motivate them. And questions that come up about human psychology and motivation. And in asking all of these questions, basically, all of us as a team got really excited about this notion that Lab 100 could be really a consumer-facing enterprise that people would actually pay as if it were an entertainment destination to go to learn about themselves. That was a big moment of shift in this project. Together with the doctors, trying to imagine how good could we make this experience? How beautiful could we make the app? How beautiful could we make the physical space? And could we make the information that you get when you leave Lab 100 good enough that people would actually leave and be like, hey, I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but you got to go to Mount Sinai Hospital this weekend and do this experience. We were really bringing in our entertainment backgrounds into the hospital environment. And once we started that design process really rolling, I think it was really clear to the team at Mount Sinai that we had to pursue this as a group, them and us together. And that's where it really took off. And we started to work on the production and, timeline and budgeting and all the other sort of nitty gritty stuff that goes on in order to make this happen in reality. That's obviously a much longer phase of work, but it all started with that design and strategy phase in the user journey mapping.
In 2013, we were approached by Jason Walsh, the founder of a company called Rise Movement, because he wanted to use a piece of equipment called Versa Climbers to create something like the equivalent of the Soul Cycle, but in the world of climbing. And Jason is a personal trainer that lives in Los Angeles. He is used to training a lot of movie stars and celebrities. The way that he trains a lot of his clients and changes his clients' bodies is through the use of these climbing devices called Versa Climbers. And so he reached out because he was going to create this group class called Rise Nation and this business that he was going to launch, in which he was going to put 40 climbers within a room. And he really wanted to create this exciting environment for people to exercise and really give all out in this 30-minute class. When he initially reached out to us, he had just been to a Nine Inch Nails concert, and he was really excited about the visuals that he saw, and he wanted to bring in that life into his classes. And so when we started discussing the project, it instantly became clear that to do something with projection or with high fidelity visuals was going to be rather difficult, out of the budget, and just not practical for the modality and for how he wanted to be represented. And so what we came up with was a concept in which we would be able to express this energy through lighting, and specifically a lighting sculpture that really would expand throughout the entire ceiling. Ever since our first project with Rise Nation in Los Angeles, they've expanded rapidly now to about 12 locations. They've got investment, and we've tackled a lot more scopes of work with them, from really working on their brand and their look and feel and their strategy, and in numerous other locations, and tackling not only the lighting aspects, but also all the architectural aspects.
The thing that's cool about this project to us is the ability to take a company from its very early days, before there's actually a product or a service, and define the brand, define the name, define the architectural spaces, but also to combine physical and digital space. It's a moment where we were able to create these really iconic light fixtures that are modular, so that they'll fit into any different location that Rise Nation expands into. And those light fixtures basically become the brand. That's the thing that Rise Nation is known for. If people forget the name, they'll even remember it's that class with the lights. And it's taking this little bit of inspiration that a client in the health industry or in the wellness industry has about how to motivate someone. And we really blew it out. And that's what makes me really proud. The lights are really beautiful, but that doesn't really matter. What matters is that when you're in the class in the moment, you lose yourself. You forget time. You're not wishing that the class was over. You're not thinking about like dinner when you get home from the gym. You're just lost in the moment, in the music, in the lights, and you've transformed the experience of group exercise into something that's much more fun and much more illusory is the word I would say. And that's what's so cool about this project. The ceilings are able to produce a really wide array of light and pattern, and all of that is controlled through software. So ultimately, it is a software product that gives the power of total control over the room to the trainer who's leading the class. So in a normal group fitness class, you might have some flashing lights, but the trainer is mostly adjusting the mood through music. And here it's almost the opposite. You get this tremendously powerful tool to play patterns and washes and lights and rhythms through the tablet interface. And you also get the ability to have all of that sync up to the motion in the room or the music in the room in a way that's really, it brings it all together and brings the people in the class together to be really motivated to work harder.
One of the coolest things to me on this project, it's actually two-part, but it has to do with the lights. One is that we designed and manufactured these lights. We found a manufacturing partner in Asia, and we took it from the very early concepts of sketching to, actually dealing with all the logistics and the quality control testing and hanging these and making sure that they worked seamlessly. That was just a really interesting process of just designing a product that could scale rapidly, that could adjust to spaces rapidly, that could create different shapes depending on the shape of the space. And the other part has to do with the software and how we created a really powerful tool that can also adjust really easily. The content it plays is generative. So that means that it can scale really easily to the types of rooms that we create. It's really easy for the instructors to use and actually create different settings that are personalized to themselves when they lead a class. Everything we've been saying about the importance of data and personalization, we, also brought that concept very heavily into this project. Not only because of the things that I'm saying, but also because the entire system was actually designed to ingest data and to visualize the data coming in from the machines. And so as you climb, because there is this gigantic canvas on top of you that is outputting the energy of the room, it could demonstrate abstractly things about your climb and how hard you're going and how fast you're going in a place where people want to lose themselves, and people are working out as hard as they can for 30 minutes because it's a very hard and very short class. We also need to design a system that is about optimization, is about performance, is about pushing to the limits.
Another project that we really wanted to highlight is a new development that's happening in Miami. It's called the Center for Health and Performance. This is a project that combines many different types of healthcare modalities: Eastern medicine and Western medicine, massage, non-traditional medicine, along with a traditional mainstream major American hospital system. And the goal of this project is to basically try to imagine what it would be like if a hospital was designed completely from scratch from the patient's perspective, so that everything should be built around what a patient would want in a healthcare environment. The word hospital, first of all, is out the door. The reason that it's called the Center for Health and Performance is to really try to focus on those things that a person wants when they seek health and wellness help. An environment that's meant to be uplifting. It's meant to be light, both literally in terms of natural light and a feeling of lightness, rather than a feeling of immovability and sort of a space that is not able to be affected or changed. You want to have a really strong foundation to build on, but you want the environments that you build to feel like they can respond to you and feel like they can offer you what you as an individual, unique person really is seeking, especially when it comes to medical diagnosis and treatment. As you, as a patient, move through the space, your unique identity moves with you in ways that shows up on screens and in other visual ways. At first, that's super abstract, and it's purely for the sake of art and enjoyment. For example, there's a moment in the lobby where your unique heartbeat shows up in a collage of lots of other unique heartbeats of people who are in the building. But then as you move through the space, you'll find that the screens are able to direct you to where you're supposed to be going so that you're never feeling lost. There's a sense that the space is aware of you and that the people who are working in the space are aware that you're there and that you're supposed to be there. And then in the most private of spaces, these treatment rooms that you see, your bio data about your body, about your mind, about your physical condition are shown to you in a way that's really artful, that's really informative and functional, and again, in a way that a doctor becomes a storyteller rather than a data processor. So the doctor is not actually inputting information in these rooms. The doctor is there with a really powerful set of visualization tools to tell you a story about the trajectory of your health. What's cool about this project is that this project also brings it to the next level. We've been working really closely with a number of different practitioners that the developer has brought under this one roof to envision what happens as the output. So if you go to a space, you elect to go to learn about yourself, to do what we're calling benchmarking, where you learn how you're doing on 10 to 20 different metrics. If one of them is a problem that you want to change, you want to improve your performance, let's say on memory, you shouldn't be let off into the wild to kind of go home and Google what to do about it. That's really not the point of healthcare. And that's something that happens a lot to patients today. You should be given a whole host of menu options of what you might do on the premises or at home or with other providers somewhere else in your hometown. Those options could be Eastern medicine, Western medicine, traditional, pharmaceutical, herbal, you name it. The idea is that you should be given the options. You should be able to make some choices. And through this space and this technology that we're building for this project, you should then be able to come back and figure out if it's working. What if you're having a good day and you go in and benchmark yourself? And then what if you're having a bad day? Or what if you had a big night out the night before? Or what if you failed to fall asleep the night before? Or what if you have a newborn and they're causing a unique stress in your life and you go in and benchmark that? You're going to actually get data of physiologically and mentally what that looks like in your biosystems of your body. That is a really unique thing that doesn't exist in other places. And it's only possible through the combination of technology and really good user experience design. That technology has existed forever, but without designing ways to access it and understand the information, it means nothing. And again, I think that this really drives home the point of why designers are so important now. Finally, we have all of this information at our fingertips, but without designers to contextualize this and make the user journey such that it's easy and inspirational, you're just going to leave people alone in the wild to make their own conclusions. And honestly, it's overwhelming, and people don't want that. They don't want access to information if they don't know how to use it. The Center for Health and Performance, more than anything, is meant to be that sort of first gold standard in how data ingestion and then data visualization and contextualization can be designed to truly move people.
Some of us have been going to the same doctor for 10, 15 years, and we really don't have a picture of what those 10 or 15 years were like. What we want to do by bringing in innovation, design, and technology is to be able to create clearer pictures of what health looks like to people. What does age look like when, 15 years have passed? Did I gain 1 pound a year? Did I get hurt, 7 times in those last 10 years through sports injuries? And I think developing and contextualizing and explaining why things are happening is just really interesting. One of the things I think about the most is that technology is a given. We don't work with technology Technology is ubiquitous. It's in every single thing that we do nowadays. And we shouldn't be thought of as a firm that's trying to bring in technology into the space. Technology is everywhere. And what we're trying to do is to create better user experiences through the use of smart and engaging design, which nowadays in contemporary culture has to involve technology. And so what we're hoping for in terms of our work and the future of the company is to be working with really innovative clients that are thinking of the world like that and want to bring us in to think way, way outside of the box and really to create innovative solutions to visitors, guests, and experiences through this thought process that we have brought together.
I couldn't agree more. I think what's really interesting about us as designers that I love talking about is that we've decided to focus our design careers on the encroachment, is the word that I would use, the encroachment of technology into all aspects of our life, out of the confines of our phones and our computers and into everywhere. But we as people don't love that. That in and of itself is not something that makes me happy or excited. In fact, I retreat from technology. I'm someone, Lucas makes fun of me. I'm really good at leaving my phone somewhere, lost for many days on the weekends. And I love removing myself from technology. And I think that as designers, we see what Lucas is talking about, this point that technology is part of all of life. It will only continue to be more and more a part of all of the aspects of our lives. And so as designers, the moral imperative is to make the experience one that is truly human-centered. It's not design that is purely for profit. It is not design that is purely engineers deciding what's possible and therefore what should be. It's human-centered design dictating the asks of technology, dictating the problems with our day-to-day lives that technology can solve so that experience gets better. We need to be the designers that shape it into the things that we want to be. Thank you, Eileen, and thank you, Design Talks Now. This has been really fun.
Thank you, Design Talks Now. And Noah, I'll see you in 5 minutes.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Noah and Lucas. This is a great example of how design can affect our lives every day and in every way. Digital technology with smart design can manipulate feelings in positive ways and create good impressions and good habits. It's design and technology at its best. For more on this subject, please check out our Head High Book Kiosk reading selection. It complements and enhances the Design Talk series, matching each talk, including this one. And although we're at the end of Season 2 of Design Talks Now, we'll continue to offer this fine curation of books on our website along with Head High. And also, all the Design Talks are available on demand at design-pavilion.com. Thanks to all of you for joining us during Season 2, and please stay tuned for information on Season 3, scheduled for winter-spring, to include a design masterclass series with some pretty heavy featured speakers. So until then, continue to stay safe, stay smart, design stands together, and we'll see you very soon.